Okay, you're on.
Am I audible? Do I sound like you can hear me clearly?
Why can't you see me?
I can't see you too well, but I can hear you.
Wave your hand. Yes, I see you move. I see you move. It worked. Nobody moved. Nobody moved from wherever they are. Everybody, all of you are in the right place.
Take 26 of Stories with Shastri, and I am going live with Derric Dsouza. Derric is someone who is a Pune-based singer-songwriter, and I had the opportunity of working with him, photographing him, and watching him grow as a musician over the years. And it's been an absolute delight. He finally newest track, Trickster, and all of us are pretty excited about it. And I thought, this would be a good time to talk about finally, putting your work out there, whether practice makes perfect, and also about the journey so far. Hi,
Hi,
how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
What would you like to finally put your music out there?
It's. I thought I knew how I'd feel after I put it out. Like I'd feel like really happy and stuff. But I am sort of in a weird spot. I'm like I want to put more music out there. Like that's where I'm at right now. Like one track is just one track. But yeah, I'm definitely happy for the response so far. Like it's been great. But yeah, I want to put more music out there. ASAP.
Does it feel like, oh, I've just put one track and now I have to put out more? Is there that pressure that you feel?
I think there's a pressure because of the current situation, because of lockdown. So like because the year was sort of planned out, like I wanted to release music this year. This was the year the work on the track had begun in Jan. So there is a sort of pressure now only because I can't really get to the studio as often and stuff like that. Yeah, but not really to release because these songs have been with me for so long now. So I'm just I can't wait to get ready to put it out like the way I want it to hear. Like the sound. Basically, I wanted to sound as perfect as it sounded in my head like years ago when I wrote that.
Yeah, I know. I saw this post that I think Shawn put up. For those of you who don't know, Shawn is Derric's wonderful friend, and he's equally talented. And he did the drums, I think, for you
Yeah,
guys.
he played the drums. Yeah.
And he put up this post that said that September 2016 was when he heard you start with it.
Yeah.
So that's 4 years.
Yeah, 4 years because yeah. It's weird because the song, when I wrote the song, it was completely different. It wasn't really the way it is right now. Most of my stuff, I've always felt like that. Like, it's not ready. Like, at least back then, I couldn't sing it as well. My voice was not as good as it is right now. Because back then, I didn't like my voice. I couldn't really sing in the studio. There are certain things that really frighten you about the studio. Musicians on here probably can, support me on that. Like, they put this thing called the metronome. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's this thing that clicks 1, 2, 3, 4, and you got to be with it the whole time. Like you can't go off timing. So that
thing that tells you about your beat.
Yeah, your beat. Yeah, you got to stay consistent throughout. So that was very scary in 2016 because I was like, okay, this is really intimidating. But yeah.
So what made you finally decide to release Trickster?
Firstly, I went to the studio and I worked on another person's song. I worked on Nida's song first.
Yes.
So when I worked on Nida's song, and I felt so light because it wasn't my own song, I wasn't pressured, and I just enjoyed the studio process. And the feedback from a lot of the people at the studios was like, "Man, you're good. Like you did it really quick." And I was surprised because I didn't know I was good. But then I just played her tracks and I felt really comfortable in the studio, and that kind of helped me realize that, man, I can record my own stuff. Like the practice is paying off.
Yeah, that's insane. So, could you play a little snippet of Trickster? I mean, not the whole thing, so that the rest of you can go on Spotify and listen to it.
Yeah. Hey, 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 hey. Whoa, whoa, hey, 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 hey. I'm writing this down as a lesson for people who shouldn't be messing. The sensitive topic I'm about to cover uncovers all your intentions. Now tell me honestly, do you think it's alright to be messing around with people's emotions? Now tell me honestly, do you sleep well at night, or you're rolling around as you discover your conscience? You're rallying up troops, but how long do you think they'd last? Karma's a bitch that's gonna bite you in the ass. How many people are you going to fool now? Lying around, it only makes you feel cool now. The world's a stage and it's all but a game. You're pointing fingers looking for someone to blame. You've done this, you've done that. You pulled the bunny out of the hat. But at the end of the day, you're just a trickster who lost his way. Hey, 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 you're just a trickster who lost his way.
Wow, I love it. I love it. I remember as soon as I saw the poster out and I knew that I had to listen to this, and I saw someone put, I think it was Nida or you, put up a Spotify link, and I said, I have to listen to this. So why do you call your the person you're addressing a trickster?
Because Trickster kind of has this charming element as well to him. Like he's not just a person out to trick people, but he's also has this kind of charming thing to him. This personality that people kind of fail to see what his intentions are just because of his appearance and stuff like that. So his society, his position in society and stuff like that. So that was the whole thing.
That's pretty cool. And you also, you spoke about karma and coming along, which is, I thought it was a beautiful combination.
Yeah, because I've had my own share of karma in my life, so I was like, I gotta write something about this, and I was feeling it so it was so deep at that moment when I wrote the song, because it was really heated up for me, because I was really pissed at this person and I didn't know how to get it out. So I just thought I'll write the song, and when I wrote the song, it was just the chorus first. How many people are you going to fool now and stuff like that. But when I got to the bridge, I was like, man, like if you look back at our own lives, we can sort of see how karma has played such a big part. Like it's always there, like in some way, whatever you do, good or bad karma, it always comes back.
So what was the story you said where you said that you've had your fair share of karma? Tell me a little more about that.
For instance, in the beginning when I started off playing, right, I always thought it had to be done this way, had to be done that way. So in many ways I kind of looked at other people and wondered, and I'm too much of a perfectionist. So when I listen to other people's music and stuff, it's like I listen to it too much, and then I kind of don't like some things, and then I'm like, and that's the way I've started looking at my own music. So that's karma for me, in a way that you can't be that cynical when you're listening to something, or when you're critiquing something. You got to be as objective and look at it from their perspective as art itself first, and then all of the technical stuff. Yeah. So I picked up my guitar in 2014. Actually, I thought of starting doing gigs and stuff like that. But obviously, I didn't have any contacts or anything. So I just played parties. I went for friends' parties. I just took my guitar along. I was the guitar guy. I just take my guitar along, just play at parties and stuff. And at one of these parties, I met a guy named Aaron. You know Aaron, right? So he was like, man, you want to do a gig? And then he got me my first gig. And I was like, okay, this is how it is done probably. Start doing gigs first, and hope that I get better. And I wasn't really good back then. From my point of view, I was okay. But I started off. Then I think, by the end of that year, I took part in the competition, the High Idol thing back then in 2014.
Oh, right.
Yeah, High Idol. And I didn't expect to win that thing. That was like just unbelievable. When I won that, I was like, oh God. That's when I realized, okay, I can probably do this, because there are people who voted for me and the judges voted for me, and I was like, that's when I knew that, okay, people probably see something in me, so probably it's good, So that's when I started. Yeah, that's how I started off full time.
Wow, that's quite interesting. That's quite a ride. So you started as part of a church choir. So what made you make that shift to doing gigs?
So first of all, when I was in the church choir, I loved singing like in the background. I loved harmonizing, or as a background vocalist. someone like the choir would sing and I would do these different things and stuff. So when I picked up the guitar and started playing, it was another world for me entirely. And that's when I realized that my voice was so generic. Because when you sing in the church, you kind of have to fit in. You can't have your own texture to your voice. You can't have your own tonality, because if you do that, you stick out. But a choir is a combined thing. It's a group thing. So you don't want to stick out. You want to blend in as much as possible. So when I picked up the guitar and started singing, I was like, okay, I'm going to have to work on my tone and stuff like that. Yeah.
Right. And so I'm sure you practiced it. So how often do you practice your work? Because I remember distinct conversations with you. Because for those of you listening, there was this one point for I think an entire year. Derric had a residency at a restaurant called B2 in Bistro.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Beautiful place. It has all of our hearts, and we're all very close to it. And I remember seeing you every Wednesday.
Yeah.
And I remember these distinct conversations where you go like, okay, I can't have this or I can't do this because I'm singing.
Yeah.
And you were so strict with it. And that's something I really appreciated. So how often do you practice and what do you do? What is it like for you? Are you motivated to practice regularly?
Yeah, definitely. I've realized one thing, like actually during this time, because now I've not been doing gigs. It's actually a bigger test because I don't need to practice because I don't have a gig coming up. I don't have anything coming up. So why must I practice? But because I've been practicing for 4 years, I've realized now that I would practice to make myself feel better about my own voice. You know, it's about how you feel about your own voice and how you're singing and whether you can perform kind of, you know, with this kind of flair and everything. So yeah, when I would practice, it would be more of just trying to be more confident with my playing and singing at the same time. So yeah, I don't know. It's weird because when you start off, you're kind of skeptical about how you sound and this and that. But when you keep practicing every day for a certain, you know, amount of time, you do eventually sound better. Like you sound better and you can write better and stuff like that does come up. But you need to feel confident, and you only get confident with practice. So.
And what do you think about people who don't conform to that, you know, that idea that practice doesn't make perfect? It's the so-called hustle, but the hustle doesn't include practicing, but it also includes going and getting gigs and getting work.
Yeah, definitely. So first of all, practice, whether it makes you perfect is, I don't think anything can make you perfect. But for instance, like if you practice, you can at least get to a level where you feel happy about yourself in that moment or in that phase in your life, you know, because if you don't practice, you sort of just stay stagnant, right? And a lot of singers out there will be like, you know, some of them practiced a lot, some of them barely practice, but still they sound good and this and that. But we really don't know, as far as talent is concerned, as far as singing is concerned, how it kind of gets molded into us. We don't know how it happens, you know. For instance, there are some things that I've not practiced at all. Like singing in a church. When I was a kid, we would go for mass and there would be like huge loads of people just singing around me. So you'd hear all of these voices. And so when I got to the choir, I just sang. I never trained. Like my ears automatically knew it because ever since I was a child, I was in church, right? So it is sort of weird that some things you need to learn, but some things definitely come from your childhood, definitely. But yeah, you can perfect certain abilities, but not every day. It feels like, okay, I've achieved something, but the next day it's like I can make it better. So you can never get 100% perfection in that way.
I agree. I do agree with that. What's the one skill that you have that, you know, there's like one skill that you have perfected with practice and one skill that you got naturally without practicing? That's like your blessing.
Okay, one skill that I will still not say I perfected is singing, but I've gotten much better, much better. I was so bad in the beginning. My accent was all over the place and it was just weird. When I would sing, it would sound super weird. So that's one thing that I really worked on. But another thing that I don't think I worked on as much, but came from my childhood, was the ability to harmonize with somebody. Harmonize is basically when, like I said, a background vocalist, you know, someone who adds to the main vocalist. I've always been doing that, and I don't know how it started. It just started in church, and now I sing when Nida's singing, I automatically back her up. When anyone sings, I can kind of back them up. So that's something I really didn't learn. Yeah. Like it just happened.
What is it? Like you said, in a choir you have to sound, you can't stand out.
Yeah.
And then you want to, explore your vocal range and your tonality as a baritone.
Yeah.
Right? So what was that shift like? How did you discover that you were a baritone? What was that like? Did you take like me, I took an online test to find out
Okay.
what my baritone was.
Okay.
Because they
Okay.
did not take any of those. But how did you do it? I'm sure it was better than mine.
So for me, first of all, see the baritone voice, this tone, this range in the voice is a male type. So basically, it's like 70 to 80% guys are baritones. Like we speak low, so our singing range is low. But tenors, there were tenors. Tenors are like the higher singers, like
Yeah.
MJ, The Weeknd, and all of these guys. Bruno Mars. These are like really high singers. So in the choir, I would kind of feel like I feel out of place because I was really low, but not that low. Because there's the third type is the bass type, which is like super low, but I wasn't there. So I was neither high nor low, but it was in the middle, which is like the basic male range. So yeah, discovering that was really difficult because I loved singing Bryan Adams back then when I was like in 2011, and I just couldn't sing. Just couldn't sing it. Just couldn't sing it the way he sings it. So you kind of have to discover your own voice and understand it, specifically and kind of love it for what it is first. Then you can work on expanding it and all of these technical things like expanding my range, improving my tone. You got to accept what it is at the, in its rawest form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So wait, which one is the alto? I remember because
Alto is a girls type. So there are girl types and guy types, voice
the
types.
feminine voice.
Yeah. So that's another thing. But yeah, for guys, it's mostly baritone, bass baritone, then tenors, counter tenors. There's a lot of stuff. Yeah.
There's something called female baritone also, no?
I'm not quite sure if they call it a female baritone, but yeah, it's definitely a low range probably. Alto is sort of you could call it that, but I'm not quite sure. Yeah, I'm not quite sure about the female types, honestly.
I remember this one time I enlisted in my school. So around Christmas, we did this whole thing where we did the Festival of Choirs, which happens in all the convents.
Oh yeah, those are the best.
And we did Married at Home. And at that time, I was in the sopranos. And then over the years, I don't know what happened. I couldn't hit my voice that high, so I became an alto.
Yeah, it depends on your age. It depends on your age. Because
really?
The voice changes. Your voice cracks after some time. It changes. Because when I was younger, I could sing really, really, really high because I had a little boy's voice, right? So I could sing really high. But then once puberty hit and everything, your voice kind of cracks open, and then it's what it is. Then you got to accept what it is.
Yeah, I feel like that's also happened with. I think that's happened with me also. But a lot of people think that women's voices don't crack, which is stupid because they do.
No, definitely they do. Yeah, I have some students that I teach, and I can hear cracks in their voices also. It's. But yeah, girls definitely have more control over it. Naturally, girls have more control over that crack. Yeah, it just happens.
Right, probably. I don't know. It took me a long time to consciously realize that my voice has changed. I remember meeting my cousin after like maybe 4 years or something, and he the first thing he said to me was, "Your voice has changed." And I said, "Okay." It's like, cool. Like, are you still family? But
yeah.
So that's pretty interesting to learn about it. So what you teach kids?
Yeah, I teach kids mostly. Say, as far as I've been teaching since 2015. I've been teaching the guitar since 2015 because I was pretty good at the guitar back then. Even like I could play well. So I had a lot of training to do vocally, but guitar-wise, I was pretty good. So I've been teaching kids for a long time, all age groups. Right now, I'm kind of focusing on people who are recording their own music. Like I like to teach people who are kind of nervous about going to the studio, technique involved there and stuff like that. Stuff that I didn't get any help on basically, because when I got in, it was super frightening. Like, oh God, like I don't have anybody. So when I started taking classes, it's kind of more a one-on-one thing where I help people who want to release their own music but don't know how to sing or don't like their voice or kind of that kind of stuff.
And what's that been like? What's been your most challenging experience with teaching? And teaching someone how to practice.
That's the most challenging thing, especially with kids. Like I have some students, it's so unbelievably difficult to tell them that, you got to do these really mundane, boring things, and then you can get to the fancy stuff, the stuff that looks all great and easy. Oh, it's happening so easily. But in the beginning, it's so difficult to kind of get that across to students. But there are also some students who are like just so technically, they just pick up everything so quickly, and then it's like, oh god. So I've seen a variety of students, but every student kind of has their own kind of forte. They pick up certain things differently. Like there's this one kid who was struggling with chords on the guitar, and but he could play lead. I don't know if you know what lead is, but lead is like individual notes, right? Yeah.
I struggle with chords. That's the reason I stopped. I have a guitar in my house.
Mostly people give up. Mostly people give up at chords. They're like, I can't play chords.
I can do C minor, A minor, G7, and E minor. That's all.
So which song was that? You learned some songs. Okay.
I know how to progress those. Everything else I can't do after that.
Yeah, so some students, and one student I taught him chords. I taught him like really tough chords, and the next week he just showed up and he could already play it. And I was like, how do you do it? And he's like, sir, I just put YouTube on and I just kept playing it for like 4-5 hours while watching YouTube. Wow. And he was like, I think this was a student in 2015. He was probably 15 years old. And I was really amazed by that. Because I was like, how is that possible? And then another student is like struggling with chords but can do something else. So it's experience as teaching has been great, because even I get to see the different ways people learn, which has always been something very interesting to me. Because usually you look at when people learn something, it's like, oh, it's pretty straightforward, book 1, book 2, book. It's not like that. It's just not like that. Everyone learns differently. So kind of, it's been amazing though. Teaching is fun, definitely.
I'm sure. Has there been like a very rewarding experience you had?
Oh wow, yeah, that's definitely like, it's the best feeling ever. One of my students is recording in the studio, and he sends me his vocal tracks. He sends them to me, and he's like, I'm so happy, I could sing this, or he'll send it, and I can see improvement. That's one of the most rewarding things, honestly, when you're teaching someone, like for them to get like to finally feel confident.
Yeah, I get that. When are you going to finally start teaching songwriting?
I don't know if songwriting, honestly, I don't know if songwriting is something you can teach. I know a lot of people teach that, but I'm not, as far as me, when it comes to songwriting, it's too personal. It's too personal for me. Like when I pick up the guitar and I start writing a song, it's too personal. And so telling someone else, I can give one tip for songwriting, which is try to, whenever you're feeling a certain emotion, just record a voice note and name the voice note with that emotion. Because some other day is going to come when you feel the same emotion, then you go to your voice memos and you'll see all these emotions. You can just club them together and you have a song probably, or you have something. Like I've had
that's a pretty interesting cheat
but
sheet.
that's the best I can give you. I can't tell people how to write lyrics and this and that. It's just go with it. Feel it in the moment and just go for it. Yeah, that's as much as I can.
So why do you think it's not something you can teach? Because it's personal, and not like, why can't you teach, like, do you think you can teach perspectives or rhythm or something like that to help and facilitate the songwriting?
Oh yeah, rhythm. See, right off the bat, I don't choose to be like that. When I write my songs, it's not like I'm like right from the get-go, I'm thinking about, I'm going to write a witty song now. The thing is, there are a lot of songs that nobody has heard yet, that are like completely different from this kind of songwriting. So Trickster is just one of them. Trickster, there are a few songs that I've written that are somewhat in the same sphere, but I just go with the flow. There's not a lot of thought as to what the song should sound like, or the lyrics should be. For me, it's more about having at least some sort of baseline to like the song, like some meaning, overlying kind of meaning, and the melody line basically the main tune should uplift that meaning. That's how I write. Like
you have this very I mean, I can say this personally because I've been to your gigs, but you have this very there's this particular thing about the way you work with your words and the way you fuse them into your rhythm, where I'm walking, okay, and I'm supposed to be clicking this gauge and I'm already stressed out, but then I will listen to you sing and I go like, okay, cool, and then I'm like, okay, I'm chill, and all of that. So do you know that about your songs, that it relaxes people in some way or the other?
Okay, so firstly, the songs that relax people are the songs that relax me. Like most of the
Hmm.
songs are the songs that you're speaking about, that this kind of style is because it makes me feel happy. So when I'm
Yeah,
writing
like
these songs, they're
in
most of the
Jamaica
time
is
trying to
my
make me feel.
go-to.
Oh God, in Jamaica is never going to be on the record. It's probably going to be like a bonus track that you guys are going to have to stream on some separate platform. I'm not sure I
Like
want
a
to record
TV
that yet.
platform. So
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
be in on it and all of that. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We're ready. In Jamaica is, if you haven't heard Derric perform in Jamaica live, you have not lived. It is a vibe. Anybody, even if it's the toughest audience, they will also, break through that song, which is such a talent, man. It's brilliant. Speaking
Dude,
of talent, do you
yeah,
think that talent that's practiced over the years,
yeah.
and you take so long to hone that skill, do you think it gets drowned in this rat race for success, and success being like fame or money or gigs or experience like that?
Mm, See, definitely there is a rat race. That's something we have to accept first. Like there is a rat race out there. Genres are changing. What's popular, what's pop now is different. What was pop 10 years ago was different. So, but I feel like you practice and you kind of maximize your talent to a point where you feel confident. Because when you're confident and you perform and you sing, then people can see that, and that kind of becomes so clear. So that's very
Yeah.
attractive to people, I guess. When people see you having fun doing what you're doing, that's what attracts people more than anything else. So you can practice a lot, but if you're too technical at the end of it, and while you're singing, if you overthink stuff, it falls flat. All that talent doesn't mean anything if you can't have fun while doing it. So the main thing is kind of focus on just, like, you do all your practice, but when you start singing or when you start recording your music and putting it out there, just have fun. Because as far as whatever the music scene is right now, there is always a niche of people that like your style and stuff like that. So but yeah, there is a race, definitely. I will say that, like, when it comes to how much music you can put out in a year and what kind of music, where do you want to place your music in terms of a genre? Because now things are definitely more electronic in that kind of a side.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that there aren't people who want to listen to some raw acoustic stuff. And either or, both are great genres. There's nothing wrong with any of the genres. That's the best thing about music, I guess. Because it's like everyone can just find what makes them feel good. Have your own playlist, listen to whatever you want. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Speaking of niche genres or niche styles that people consume, particularly, like for example, there's this whole thing that if they put all of us in jail, please put me in the cell with people who like the same music that I do.
Yeah, yeah.
So if so, do you think it's difficult for a niche musician or a niche performer to survive when, like you said, what pop was 10 years ago is not pop today?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right? So, because of such an ever changing shift in what people want to listen to or what they think is new or fresh that they like, do you think
Yeah.
it's difficult for a particular style to just be pure to that style and survive?
I feel like you got to be pure to your songwriting, like
Mhm.
completely stay the way, your songwriting shouldn't be kind of poisoned by anything happening in the world. Your songwriting should always be your songwriting. If you write your songs with your guitar, you write your songs with your guitar. You write your songs with your piano. But when it comes to production and actually taking it to the studio, we should also be ready to sort of evolve, because electronic is the thing right now, and it's pretty cool. And if you try it out, you might like it. So you got to have a bit of that open kind of outlook towards this whole genre thing. But the niche is definitely, like, you can have your niche crowd, but also at the same time, there's no harm trying something different. That's why we see so many artists that started off, especially like people like Ed Sheeran, they started off completely acoustic in the beginning. And
Yeah.
then you hear songs like Shape of You, and there are a lot of people who will say this and that about, I like this old stuff. It doesn't really matter, because see, I've been playing music for so many years. I don't have any kind of weird opinion on, like, what he makes now and what he made back then. That's his life, you know. That's his life. It's his sort of journey. As far as I'm concerned, as a listener, if I don't like something, I listen to something I like.
Yeah.
You know?
That's simple. Yeah, but then isn't it easier said than done? Because I remember when Fireflies came out,
Oh yeah,
I was one of the people also, so guilty there
yeah,
for that.
yeah,
But then I just feel like you're making music on a laptop, on a MacBook. That doesn't make you a musician. But then Fireflies was one of the
yeah.
biggest chartbusters we had. And
They were
that was
they
7
blew
years
up.
ago.
They
I don't
blew up
remember.
completely. Yeah, they
Yeah,
were
it did.
massive.
And then eventually people started taking to, learning how to use Ableton and use all of these
Yeah, yeah,
softwares and produce
yeah,
more stuff, which actually helped. And
yeah.
now, like you said, electronic is still the thing. But, what I mean to ask is, for example, let's say your, I forget his name. Uh, I don't remember his name. So there's this pianist, a jazz pianist from the US.
Okay.
Uh,
Collier,
I think it's Herbie something.
Jacob Collier. You talking about Jacob?
No,
Oh,
Herbie
Jacob
something.
is
Oh man,
British.
80, he's
Oh,
about
Herbie
80 years
Hancock.
old.
Herbie Hancock.
Herbie Hancock.
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
Herbie Hancock performing will, well, the kind of work he's put in, right, over the years. I've heard Watermelon Man, I think, was one of his tracks that I've heard. And
Dude, that's another realm altogether. That kind of music is something
exactly,
else. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
it is. But then, when I speak about trying to survive, now Herbie Hancock, I'm so sure, puts in so much work
yeah.
into what he's putting out there. I mean, one thing will be rehearsed at least a few hundred times. And I don't mean to demean a musician when I say this or ask this, but then a Taylor Swift, on the other hand, will charge a lot more but put in lesser work.
Yeah.
Right. So I feel like the consumption of artists who, actually are putting in the work are not getting that recognition because of it.
Um, Recognition. See, first of all, when you look at something like jazz, it is, I'll tell you straight off as a musician, it's not easy listening. It's not something that, right off the bat, I'm talking about really complex stuff. It's not right off the bat something you're like, whoa, wow, this is so beautiful. Some people just don't get it. And I don't think we know as to why exactly, but some people just love jazz right off the bat. Some people don't, you know, no matter how many hours are put into the practice and all of that stuff. But as far as recognition is concerned, there are so many people out there, man. Like so many people. Some people just like 2-3 chord songs, and they're happy with that, and they'll sing that all day, and they'll love that artist. They'll support that artist for the rest of their lives. Whereas there are some people who like those, hundreds of chords, and they'll go and they'll support that kind of music. But as far as your question on recognition, I
I'm talking
don't
about
really
sticking
think.
to a niche. So I'm not saying that
Sticking.
Taylor Swift's work is anything lesser or anything of the sort.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is she eventually evolved herself. She started out with a lot of country influence.
Okay.
And she eventually evolved herself into a pop artist.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
But then some people don't do that, or they can't do that, or they want to, or they're purists in that sense, or they would probably think that, okay, I want to stick to this and perfect this to as much as I can.
Yeah. So,
right.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing. Like, for instance, even for me.
But then they lose out on being discovered.
Yeah, definitely. So the same thing for me. Like, I could easily kind of, get some producers. There are a lot of talented people. I could just get producers and make a complete electronic kind of thing. But I can't contribute to it as much because all of these songs were written with guitars and all of these things. So it's difficult for me to change my complete mindset. Like right now, right off the bat, to kind of say I want to produce something that's so different from what I've been hearing or that I've been playing. But I feel like musicians in some way need to be a bit, be open to evolving with the times a bit, because see, you can write the same lyrics, you can even write the same tunes. It's the stuff around it that defines the genre. That's what I feel. It's the stuff around it that defines the genre. You can write a song, like for instance, Trickster. It's the genre. People still can't pin down what genre that song is. I've sent it to so many people. They can't tell me what genre it is. It's not, doesn't sound pop. It doesn't sound this. That. So it doesn't make sense to kind of get so caught up in genres also, but at the same time, you have to just create something and kind of put it out there um in whatever is relevant to the times right now. Also, you got to look at that. Also, it's a bit challenging, but yeah, definitely that it comes at a cost that a lot of artists will risk not being discovered because of staying, true to their style or their genre or how they started off. Yeah.
Right.
It's a
Right.
tough
So
decision,
speaking
but as
of
an artist,
evolution,
I'll say that much. Yeah.
okay. So speaking of evolution, what's next for you?
For me, first thing I want to put out more music and an album complete, something along the lines of the way Trickster was produced, keeping it raw, acoustic. Then after that, I want to try to kind of get into another style of production and stuff like that. Yeah, but as far as music is concerned, that's my plan right now, just releasing music, because for so long I've not released music, right? And we can't plan anything right now because of what's happening. Like I can't plan like you can't plan anything, right? As far as going outside is concerned, the plan for Trickster was to go around and kind of tour on that and do the song and promote the track. But I'm stuck at home now, and who knew this? It's pointless to kind of think about that right now. But if there's one plan, the plan is to just put out more music, try to get my music out there as soon as I can, an album, and work with other artists as well. Like working with Nida also, like putting out music with her. We have a song coming up soon, a collaboration song.
Butterflies.
Yeah, that's the song they're doing
Yeah,
next.
I
I'm
can't
playing the
wait
guitar
for
on
it.
that. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, man,
Yeah.
I absolutely can't wait. I'm so excited. Do you think there's a sense of, how do you deal with competition?
Competition.
Yeah, like how was it 5 years ago and how is it today?
This is going to sound really weird, but I've never competed with anyone else but with myself. If I can't sing as good as I sang yesterday, that's bad. Or if I can't sing better than yesterday. So when it comes to competition, I've never looked at anybody around me as competition. Never. It's never been like competition. It's always been like, if I see someone sing well, it's like, oh, what are they doing technically? I hear the technique behind it. I'm like, oh, I need to learn to do that. So I just straight up approach them and I'm like, hey, how do you do that? Or I go online, I'm like, how do you do this thing? And I try to learn it myself. So it's like, and then when I learn it, most of the time I'm like, hey man, I kind of learned that from you, So I'm not very competitive in that sense. I'm more competitive with myself. It's weird.
Well, no, I get that. And but then what do you do? Like, for example, did it eat you up when you didn't release Trickster and it's been in your head for so long? Where you're like, I have to put this out.
There's one thing that
or was it
definitely
procrastinated or something? Huh?
There was one thing definitely with putting out music, right? My music felt too personal to me. It felt too personal to me in the beginning when I started writing, because for me to be able to just do music and live life, just make money, to be able to live was such a big dream, because right since I started off, I was told by so many people that you can't live a stable life, you can't make money doing music, you can't do any of that. So for me to be able to just go on stage and play gigs and make some money, buy my instruments myself, take care of myself, was an achievement in itself. So when I started writing music, it was more like therapy. It wasn't for anybody else. It wasn't. Yeah, and
do you?
Yeah.
Go on. No, please continue.
And when it started becoming about like putting music out, like releasing music, that's when it kind of twisted and turned into this whole thing where, okay, now people are going to listen to my thoughts about what I feel on certain subjects and stuff like that. So then it's like, okay, because these songs were very personal. I looked at them as very personal things. So yeah, but that's what the one thing I felt when I put out Trickster was, oh, people relate to this, because it was kept so close to my chest. Like, okay, this is just a song, whatever, doesn't matter. For me, it never really mattered, that much. But yeah, it was just for myself.
And do you think you hold a particular influence on any audience who listens to your music, and are you more mindful about the stuff you put out?
Yeah, definitely. See, there's a lot of music out there, different genres, different styles, different moods and everything, but I don't know. as far as an influence is concerned, I want to try to stay as hopeful I can stay with my songs, like
Right.
in terms of like an underlying kind of style. Like I want it to be something that I want my music to be something that when people listen to it, they kind of look at themselves, but at the same time they're also hopeful for what's to come. Like this is not the end of it. I don't want to kind of scare people or make people feel extremely sad. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel. So yeah, I definitely think about that when I write my music. It's like I don't want to put out something so overly negative and so sort of pulling you down as a person that when people listen to it, because a lot of kids listen to music, man. A lot of kids listen to music, and I want my music to kind of make people feel happy rather than make them super nervous about themselves. But that's my thing. There are a lot of musicians putting out music that's purely self-expression, whatever they're going through, that's up to them. This is just my way, how I feel.
So how do you deal with, like, say, a negative emotion, and how does it influence your work? Like, for example, grief or loss.
Correct.
So does it influence your work, or do you think it helps you create something better because you went through something bad?
Okay, for me, if I get out of that bad phase, then I write the song. That's how I work. Because till I get out of that bad phase, I'll stay in it and deal with it somehow, whatever it takes. I'll just go through it. And when I get out of it, then I'll write about my experience, because now I'm on the other side of it and I feel better. So my song will have some sort of a positive side to it, So I always kind of, when I'm writing or creating, it's like I've written some songs when I've been really sad, but it's like a verse and chorus, and then I'm like, this is too sad. This isn't, if I keep singing something so sad over and over again, it will become me, So then I put the song on hold and I take care of myself. I just check where I'm at, and when I feel better, then I complete the song. And the second verse and the chorus is an uplifting thing, it kind of makes you feel better. So yeah.
I like that way of thinking. I don't think I've seen that very often, which is good. And I hope you continue doing that, man. I love your music so much.
Thank
Those
you.
of you listening, go check out Derric's work. Trickster out on Spotify and other places. This brings me to
everywhere.
the end of this episode, which was very harrowing, but thank you for being patient with me. And
thank you for having me.
Not throw my phone somewhere, I don't know what. But this was a lot of fun, and I am so glad that you were a part of this. I can't wait to listen to more music by you.
Yeah, me too.
And,
definitely.
Okay. Thank
you for having
See
me.
you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Always. Bye.
Bye.
I'm so glad we finally got to do this, and I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. And it was, wow, you clearly know how much I don't like live streams, but then I had to do this for the engagement. These episodes are going to be out on Spotify very soon. Stay tuned, and yeah, I'll see you on the other side. I have another guest coming up next Monday. I'm slowly coming to an end to these live streams. So, but then there's a lot more in store, which you will have no idea about. And it's all in the works. Let's see how it works. And I'll see you on the other side. Bye.